Hello, everyone. We are here today for another session of our Community Conversations Technomatics Virtual User Group. And today's topic is creating Gantt charts using the data table. As many of you know, our presenter for today is Mr. Steffen Bangsow. So Steffen has been in this field for a very long time. He is an expert freelance simulation engineer, and he's completed hundreds of projects and training sessions. And for us, we're almost at 50, I think, for PLM. But Steffen's published 5 books on plant simulation and is working on his 6th book. He is one of the leading contributors to our Siemens PLM community and a community catalyst. So we always love having him here. Today, for this topic, he'll go through these steps in the presentation. So defining the attributes and configuring the data table settings, program recording logic, right, to capture process events, visualizing the timelines through coloring and structuring table data, and then applying recording methods for parts and stations. So as I mentioned, we will have a Q&A. You can just raise your hand, come off mute, or if you don't feel comfortable speaking, you're welcome to type in the chat. That is the end of my introduction. So Steffen, please feel free to steal the screen.
Okay, hello. My today's topic is to create our own Gantt diagram. I guess you know your plant simulation offers a Gantt diagram already. If you have here, for instance, the plant simulation X license for advanced, I guess it's now advanced, then you find in your user interface here there's a Gantt chart, but normally you need a special license for this, and I have only a professional license, and so I don't own a license for Gantt charts. But nevertheless, you can create your own Gantt charts like in Excel, where you can make diagrams just by color the background of the cells in a way. I got a lot of spaghetti diagrams in this format, and the same we can do in plant simulation. We can take a table and color the table cells backgrounds depend on, for instance, the state of a station or the location of a part. And so we can create quite easily our own Gantt charts without paying money for a license. And this is a good example, example for train some SimTalk skills. Okay, first I need a very simple example. I want to have a very simple. As a first step, I switch on the names in the 3D attributes of the station, so I can see the captions here. Okay, first should be station 1. And then comes station 2. And station 3. And then the material flow is going to station 4 and into a train. I connect all the stuff together, not really complicated. And then I need to create some states for the stations. And so I make different processing times. The stations here, station 1 has 5 seconds. Oh. Station 2 and station 3 has each 10 seconds. This is the default setting. And station 4 has 7 seconds. And to create some blockings here in station 1, I have availabilities in station 2 and station 3. Station 2 has 90% availability and 1 minute MTTR. Looks nice. And station 3, it's a very old machine with availability of only 50%. And 1 minute MTTR, and this should create a lot of failure events during time. Okay, this is my basic settings for this. Okay, here you see a lot of failures, nice. And station 1 flickering around, it's blocked very often. And this I want to visualize. I want to visualize the states of the machines, and I want to visualize all at once. I want to see the states on the of the machines in one chart. And one way could be, okay, these are the states are not a mathematical value, and so you need to create some numbers from this if you want to make a real chart. But I want to do this like an Excel. I want to have a table, and I want to color the background of the cell green if it's working, and red if it's failed, and so on. And so I take from the information flow, I take a table, and this I duplicate first. And I name the duplicate Gantt. In this example, I want to develop all the functions as a library function here in the class library, and so we can create one Gantt chart for many different frames. And so we need to create some parameters so it fits for all different kinds of frames. And so we extend this Gantt chart, this Gantt table. And first we need a set of user-defined attributes. And you can go in the class library with the right mouse click. You can add user-defined attributes, and then we create several of them. Okay, I have one prepared here. I need an init method. Type method, basically to clean up the Gantt chart for a new experiment. Next, I need an interval as time. How often you want to update the records, every second, every minute. It depends a little bit on your process times. If you have process times of some hours, then maybe half an hour is enough. If you have only seconds of processing time, then maybe 1 second is already too low. Okay, interval, data type, time. I need position in the table. I need for the recording, I need a position. It's an integer value. No initial value. I need to remember the position for deleting all the stuff I recorded in the last run. I need a method record. There we will program all the stuff for record one row. And I want to have a start record method to be able to switch on the recording if I click out on a button, for instance. It's a method. I need to remember the start time. To be able to finish after a certain amount of time. And for this example, I need states and colors for this. And this is a table. I need a table with stations. Table. And I need a time span. As time, how long should all these recording, what's the duration of the complete recording? Maybe 1 hour. If you have only some seconds on interval, and so you have a lot of data points already. But it could also be a day if you have 1 hour times interval, or 10 days or a week. So, but we need to keep this variable here. And so we have a set of variables. I need to make some definitions here in states. So I open the table and I activate the row index, so I can use the row as an index. Okay, we have some states for the stations. We have the state housed. If we use walking, setting up, if you have some setup times, we have blocked. If all places are occupied and you cannot move the part to the next station, then it's blocked. Of course, we have failed as a state. We have stopped. If you use some protection circuits and you stop the station by using the what's the right name for this in English? You use the lockout zone, and then the state of the stations that is blocked by the lockout zone is stopped. Unplanned, we have outside of the working time, at night, weekend, and we have waiting. waiting if the station is empty and none of the places. And now we need colors here, and the color we set by selecting the colors as background, and paused by default is blue. Walking is green. Setting up is brown. Blocked is yellow. Failed is red. Stop, we don't have a color. I use something like this. Unblend is gray. And waiting should be, in my case, white, the default background color. There are much more such states. You can read them in the help if you call the help for that's current state, and there you have all the states or the colors you find in the description of the underlights, LEDs, LED, and then you can find all the colors here. There are entrance locked, exit locked, powering up, powering down. There are more states. I don't need more here for this example, and so we have defined the states are predefined in Blend Simulation. The name of the states we call them we read them with less current state, and we have assigned colors here. So again, I go to show user-defined attributes. Okay, we need to format the table for the stations. We need first column as object. Okay, and then then we can drag this Gantt chart into the frame. Here in the frame, depend on which frame you have, you need to define the station you want to record. And for me, it's station 1 to station 4. And so I open this. Okay, I can make this also with the context, right mouse click, edit user-defined attributes, stations. I need to cut the inheritance here. And then I define station 1 to station 4. These are my stations. And one very important thing is we need to activate the row index here. And so this is, I make in the class library, I activate here the row index. And I need to look the row index as string. Okay. Okay, and then we need to program only 3 methods. The first method is the init method. We need to change the column width here to 1, so it's a very small columns only, and we need to delete stuff inside this table. We need to recolor all the columns so that all backgrounds are white, and we need to transfer the stations from the station table here into this Gantt diagram. And this we make here in the internal init method of this Gantt chart. So the programming we are doing now in the class library. So I go here to this Gantt diagram and right mouse click, edit user defined attributes, and we start with the init method. And the first is we set the column width to 1. It's smaller, it's not possible. Self tilt, it shows to the table from this user defined attribute here, and with column width, we set the column width to 1. Set background color cells is the method we use for coloring the backgrounds of one cell. So we need to define a range for this. It starts with 1, 1. And posse is the last position from the last experiment. And I've make a fixed 10 rows. You can make it bigger. You can also read the number of stations here in the table and can set this here. And the second parameter is the color we want to set, and we use make RGB value, and white is 250/50, 250/50, 250/50. You can also use the color picker. Okay, and this makes all the cells white again. And then we need to reset posse. And so we start at the first column. And this set background color cells. This we need also for coloring the right cell here in our table. Okay, next method. How do we start the recording? I want to do this in a special method. With start record. You can start it several times, and so you need to call init at the start of this method. If you call this several times in one simulation one, and we need to save the start time. And this we get with event controller and sim time. If you have changed the stations, then we need to delete the row index column and the number of index entries in this table you can read with index ydim, and if this is greater than 0, then there are some old entries here in this table, and this I want to delete. And you can use delete to do this. But if you want to delete row index entries, then you need to start with column 0. And the end of the range is then self dot tilde dot index ydim. Interesting. And we need to transfer. I want to check this. And then we need to transfer. Something wrong? No. Hmm. Okay, we need to check later. And then we need to transfer the stations from the station table. and it's difficult to continue with a square bracket here, and it doesn't work. We can use right row. We start with column 0. Row is I here, and self point tilde stations. I want to write the name into this table, and then we call record. Nein. Execute new call chain. So these are some steps for preparing the Gantt table for recording. I transfer the start time. I call the init, transfer the start time, delete, if necessary, the all stations from the table, and transfer the stations from the stations table into this table. And I want to check this first. And so I make from user interface, I want to have one button. Start recording should be the label on this button. And I create here I can call Gantt point. No. I call start record in this Gantt table. Okay, now I start the simulation and click. Okay, nothing happens. This happens. Okay, now all the columns are with column width 2, with column width 1, and here are the stations. And the record method is called first time, and so I need, as the next step, to program our record method. Okay, I open the record method. I stop the simulation in the background. Very important. And this is quite easy. I only need to color the background depend on the state of the machines at this time. I make a variable for state. The state is string in plan simulation. And I need to set a condition here if event controller point sim time is less start time plus time span. Otherwise, I do nothing, and then the recording stops. And then I only color the background and this I can do with a loop. Best current state. Returns the current state of this station. And then I need to change the background of the right cell. Set background color cells. And this is a little bit complicated here. It's the column is posi, and Y is the row. It's only one cell at each one, and so I copy this, and the color I get from states. With get the backgrounds color cells. I can read the color. It's only one column in this. It's the first column, and state itself, it's the row index. And so I get the right color for the state. And this I make for all stations. And so in each run, in each call, I draw one column with states of all machines. And then I need to increase posi in each one. To get the next column at the next call. And then I call this method with the interval. Okay. That's current state, stations. AI, da Punkt ist gleich, ja. And oh, yes. Okay, basically it's really simple. You color the background of the cell in the right colors. So I open this Gantt. I need to make it overlap a little bit. And then I can start the simulation. So I make it lower. And then I start recording. I have an error here. Stim time, yes, it's not right. Should be sim time. So I can run it stepwise with F11. And this should be a plus. It's live. So it doesn't run. And so this is because I need to add this here. The sim time should not be greater than the start time plus time span, so that it ends after this time span. And so it needs to be a plus here. Yep. Okay. Once again. So I let it run a little bit. And then I start recording. Oh, it's green everywhere. Okay. Yeah, I need to check the interval here. Interval is 0. It needs to be something more than 0. So I start it again. Now I need to delete all the colors here, and it takes a lot of time. That's okay. This is maybe my position now is something far away. Okay. Yeah. My posi is here at 95,610. I changed this. I hand to 0 to 1 to stop this here. Okay, now it's white. Yes, this is one problem. If you have a big model and you have colored millions of backgrounds, then maybe you need to avoid this emptying at the end of start. Okay. Now start the recording. And now I see, okay, this station 3 was failed. And then it's blocked. And station 4 is running all the time. Because the 7 seconds here, it's a little bit. And now I change here the processing time to 4 seconds. And then it should, here, station 4 should be empty several times. And now we see, okay, station 4 becomes empty. And so you can play around with your model and see in a visual way here all the states of all machines you want to see. And so you can also check, okay, is the machine fail in the right way? Who's blocking who? And there are much more other ways to use this simple kind of visualization. For instance, you can place here the several products, part names, and then you color the background of the cells depend on the station you are. And then you need a table with station colors, and then you check the location of the parts. And if the part is on a station, then you can color the background of this cell, and then you can see if you have here the parts, then you can see the ways of the movement of the parts through different stations. And we using this kind of visualization for showing the gate open times for complex robot and human interaction for seeing, okay, when is the gate open and when is the worker able to process the gate, and we make it in the same way. Okay. So you can create with some line codes a really useful tool, and you don't need to pay for a Gantt chart. Any questions?
Hi, this is Amit here.
Yep.
So can we save this to Team Center or?
No.
Okay. So
no, it's only background. It's like Excel. If you make your diagrams in Excel by coloring the background, it's you don't have data in this table. It's just format. And so it's only visualization. It's not data behind. You can write data into the cells if you make the recording, and then it's just a table. Then you can export the data from the table to Team Center. Yes. And then you can write the state into the table cell, and then you have a record, but it can be huge. If you make the record too long, then it may be megabytes of data with timestamps. You can take the timestamps in the column head and write all the states into the cells. And then you have data in the table. Otherwise, it's only format. It's like an Excel.
So instead of saving this exact data, can we save the session, the technomatic session, which has all this simulation to Teamcenter, and how it can be like used along with line balancing?
Yes, but you need to create data then. Again, it's in this format. It's only color in the background. You can change the recording. You can write something into the cells, yes, and then you only need the timestamp somewhere in the table, maybe as column header, and then you have a timestamp and all states of all machines, and a timestamp for each 2 seconds. And if you want to use this, yes, you can export this to Excel, to Teamcenter, and use it there. But Teamcenter, it's a complete different structure of tables. So you need to find a useful format to export this. But yes, it's only if we have here our recording method. And then you only need to write the state into the cell here. Okay, one moment. Oh. Now here in the cell, it's walking, or failed. And then you only need to record the timestamp here. And yes, now we have data. Okay, states table. Could we create a custom state when the station is still within the warm-up period before? No, we cannot. This is the we can replace the state for this time, but why you want to record this time? But rest current state only returns the states that are predefined by plan simulation. And so you can create another state instead of this. But you cannot create states in plan simulation. It doesn't work. Rest current state will only return predefined states.
I guess I'll take this moment to fill the silence. So you still have a moment to type in a question if you have one, but I do want to give our announcements before we end for today. So the recording, if you aren't familiar with the forums, click the link. It is live that you see on your screen. That will take you to the Plant Simulation Virtual User Group page. We suggest that you follow the topic by clicking the button there, then select every post, which will make sure that you receive emails whenever we post the next registration link and when we post the recording on Friday. The next 2 sessions, again, the links are live. Those are the topics. So 3 weeks from now, on April 29th, we'll do cross-chain conveyors with dynamic transporters. And on May 13th, modeling manual store picking with worker logic. So both of those pages, registration pages, are open now. The last 2 announcements are the Accelerator Academy. If you've been with us, you know about this, but if not, there are kind of A to Z tutorials available through the service. There's also a Plant Simulation Associate Certificate that is available if you are interested in getting that sort of training. Click through on those. And then our annual customer event, Realize Live, registration is open this summer. We will be in Detroit in the Americas, Amsterdam in Europe, and Bangalore in India. So I think also they're releasing details for one in China, which might be in Shanghai. But Steffen and I will both be at Americas and Amsterdam. So if you are interested in coming and meeting up with more plant simulation folks, either of those locations would be a good choice. The contact information for Steffen, where you can find him in the software community, where he is often answering your questions. So if you didn't already, bookmark the link there for the forums. But yeah, if anyone else had a question, looks like, yeah, like added one more there. So.
Does your init method clear the table and coloring for new recording? Is a reset method needed? This is a problem if you want to start 2 recordings after another. It takes time. It takes time to recolor the background of the table, so it's only to reset the color. You can save a lot of time if you don't do this, and it's just paint over the other, and it changes this, but sometimes it's look not nice. But it depends really how big the recording is. And reset, it only calls once if you reset the simulation. And init method you can call several times. And okay, now I have also content into this, and so I need to extend my init method. I need to also to delete all the stuff here with self.delete. But set backgrounds, color cells, you need to set range, and if the position is quite big, then really it takes time, and this is bad. If I now go in my init method, I only need the init method. Self or delf, yes, okay. This is the coloring back to white, and okay, this is now fast. But if it's the point if you want to start several times. You see it. This is the different if you write data in this. It's really it's really slow. And now I start the recording again, and you need to delete all this stuff. And so we need to call this init again and again. And so you only need one, init or reset. And reset only runs if you reset the simulation. Yeah. execute new call chain executes the method in a new call chain, and so it's like generator. Generator also creates a new call chain. But execute in it's more like the generator, because in execute new call chain you cannot define a time delay. In execute in you can define a delay, and execute new call chain is the same as execute in 0. So execute in it's equal to generator. So if you have some ideas, please tell me. I'm looking for new topics every time.
Thanks, Steffen. You've done a lot of sessions for us. It's really good every time you come on. And it looks like there's no more questions, but a lot of applause. So I guess we'll see everyone in the forums. All right. Bye, everyone.
Goodbye. Thank you.